Hey everyone, in this video we're going to work through this example from 1.3. So we're given this graph 3 times because we're going to try 3 different methods for estimating the area under the curve f of x equals x squared plus 2. So a nice simple curve to work with at least. We're supposed to estimate the area from 0 to 8, so everything we're seeing this time, but again, don't assume that, make sure you pay attention. You could definitely be asked for an estimate from 1 to 7 or something like that. Okay, so if we're supposed to use, so L sub 4, let's start with that one. The 4 means 4 rectangles. So if we have an interval that's 8 long, and we divide it by 4, then each rectangle has to be 2 wide. So we're going to be going 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, and 6 to 8. And that's actually true for all of these. So we're first going to do left, and then right, and then mid, but the bases of the rectangle are not going to change, just the heights. Okay, so for left-hand sum, we need to plug in the leftmost point on the base of the rectangle. So for the first one, we're going to plug in 0, and we're going to get this rectangle's height is 2. So nice little flat one for my first rectangle. The second rectangle, we're going to get, so this is 0 that I had to plug in. We're going to get the height by plugging in 2, again the leftmost point. And when I plug 2 in, I get 2 squared is 4, plus 2 is 6. For my third rectangle, I'm going to plug in 4, kind of crookedy looking, and its height is going to be 16 plus 2, so 18. And then my final rectangle, I'm going to plug in 6, always that left end point. I'm going to 36 plus 2, which is 38. Okay, so if we actually want to estimate the area, what we need to do is take that 2 plus 6 plus 8 plus 38, and each of those is a height, so we need to multiply it by a width, which is 2, and that will give us an area. So what are we getting? 40 and 14, so it looks like 2 times 54, 108. Well, that's not what I wrote. What I said, not what I wrote. 108 is L sub 4. L sub 4. And again, if you're given a formula, use it. If you're not given a formula, you're just going to have to estimate how tall they are. But if you've got one, your estimates are going to be that much better, so take advantage. And we can see that L sub 4 is definitely an underestimate in this case. So let's check out R sub 4. So the difference here, same bases, but the height is going to be determined by the right-hand side of your base. So if you go to the far right-hand side and head up, that will determine, when you hit the curve, will determine your height. Okay, so this time, and again, we've already done some of the work to get the height of the first rectangle. Oh, I didn't finish my squares. You're going to plug in 2. We already know that that gives us 6. For the second rectangle, you're going to plug in 4, and this is 18. For the third rectangle, you're going to plug in 6 and get 38. And the new one for us is the last one. We're going to plug in 8 and get 64 plus 2, so 66. And we can see that this is clearly an overestimate, no question about it. So if we do 2, which is our width, multiplied by 6 plus 18 plus 38 plus 64. 64, so what do I see? I see 70, and then I see 108, and then I see 118 plus 8, 126. Hopefully I counted right. 98, 102. Yep, I think so. Okay, and that still needs to be multiplied by 2, so that's just the sum of the heights. So when I double that, 126, I get 252. And that's my, well, not L, R sub 4. Okay, and then we have one more to do, we have this midpoint rule. And the midpoint rule says to find the height of your rectangle, you're actually going to take your middle x value and you're going to run up to the curve, and that's going to determine your height. So we actually will have to calculate new heights this time. We can't just steal the ones we did up above because they're coming from 1 and 3 and 5 and 7. Really, really important that you remember this is middle x, not middle y. If we were wanting to take the average y value, that's actually something we've already done. You would just average your left and right hand sums. So if you want average y value, just do left and right hand sums and then average them. If you want to use average x value, that's your midpoint rule, and looks like this. Okay, so my formula, what was it? F of x equals x squared plus 2. So when we plug in 1, we're going to get 1 plus 2 is 3. When we plug in 3, we're going to get 9 plus 2 is 11. When we plug in 5, we're going to get 25 plus 2, which is 27. And then when we plug in 7, we're going to get 49 plus 2, which is 51. So this, they're still too wide, but our heights are now 3, and then 11, and then 27, and then 51. Okay, so let's see, we're getting 30 plus 62, so it looks like we're getting 2 times 92, which is 184, and that is m sub 4. And maybe we can see that, I think we should definitely be able to see, mid is clearly going to do better than left and right. When you average left and right, that becomes a little more of a contest, and we'll talk about that in a bit. It's much less obvious, I think, right now, whether the average of left and right beats using the middle x value. All right, so there's that one. Thank you for watching.